everybody, and welcome to a new year of Decision Makers, the show where we dig into what it takes to run a town. My guest today is Cassandra Groen, who is the new director for Neepawa and District. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And welcome to the community as well.
Thank you.
When was it you started?
I started in September.
So you've had 3-4 months under your belt now to see how things are going? Well, you know what? Let's start out right at the very basics of the role. What does a rec director do?
Yeah, so a rec director varies from municipality to municipality. It all depends on what they're tasked with. But here in Neepawa, what we do is I manage the pool, the parks, playgrounds, trails. I help develop and make sure those are all safe, along with any programming and community services. So making sure that organizations have somewhere to go if they need help with grant writing, or whether that's supporting those programs, making sure we get the word out. It can vary a lot, but anything towards the community we're trying to.
Right.
I'll be there for them.
So when we say recreation, then that is a very broadly applied to anything people do for leisure time, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can be even if the library needs help kind of thing.
Yeah. Which covers a lot of stuff, because people, I think, recreation, you do sports, but that is not even close to the sum total of what the role covers.
Exactly, yeah. There's so much more to it. It's all about community.
And I think they also think that you come in as a rec director and it's just someone who kind of enjoys doing that thing. But there's actually like a strong educational component to going into recreation services. Do you want to talk about that a little bit here?
Yeah, sure. So I took a 4-year bachelor degree at University of Manitoba. It was Recreation Management Community Development.
Yeah.
With that, we also did a placement. So I worked with Bison Sports to help them with game day and running national events. So you do a lot of things in the community before you even get a job. So, so it's a full year, 4-year degree, and there is a lot to it.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
after
great.
After
that, I ended up getting a certificate from Harvard University for organizational leadership. I always look to improve my leadership, so I did that, and then I'm currently going to UBC on my own time, and that's for a master's in urban forestry leadership,
which is just also a very broad spectrum of community services, so not just recreation, but as you were saying, I think a really interesting combination of the recreation aspect with community specifically. So in what ways are you sort of working within the community to see what the community needs are?
Yeah, so a lot of it is honestly just going around and talking to people. I find that that's where people are the most vulnerable and will talk openly about what they see and need. So going to events and going to other people's programs and just talking to people is literally I found the best way to connect with the community and find out what needs there are. You can also do like a needs assessment, which includes surveying and going door to door to ask what people need. That is a lot more consuming.
It's a lot more formalized.
Yes, it's a formalized, and I like to talk one-on-one with people because they give a little bit more.
And you said something really interesting there about attending other people's events, and I think that is something that's kind of overlooked. A lot of the time people will come into a role and have a lot of ideas about what they want to do, and they don't see what's already out there.
Yes.
So what did you discover about Neepawa when you came here?
There aren't a lot of gaps, so that's what we call them, is filling the gaps. There aren't a lot of gaps in Neepawa, actually, so it is hard to try and fill those gaps because they just don't exist. One thing that I found just from talking to newcomers is like a multicultural event. So we have our Filipino Heritage Month, we have our Indigenous Day, but like we don't have one all together. So I'm looking at doing something in the summer that's a multicultural food event. So everyone brings their own dish from their home country and we all share it together. So doing things like that. I also, with how high our food bank is used and how high just inflation has become for groceries, I started an initiative for food security through a program. And then seniors, we don't have a huge gap, but I wanted to support more, and there was an opportunity for a grant, so I dove a lot into that as well.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to dive into each of those programs in a moment. There's something else I wanted to sort of follow up on there as well. I remember, and it might have been before you came, it would have been before you came to the community, during one of our Indigenous Culture Days. It was either this year or last year. And I remember a conversation with the MC, and he was saying, we love doing this. We love coming and bringing our culture to the community and sharing with you. But what he really wanted was cultural exchange. Yeah. He wanted to have this Indigenous Culture Day, but also for him to come and see the Ukrainian culture and to see the Filipino culture and the Korean culture and all these cultures that we have in the community. So I think that really, really ties into what you're thinking about for, you know, a multicultural event centered around food. I mean, who doesn't love that, right?
Honestly,
but it was a really striking comment that he mentioned that I think.
Yeah, as somebody who is Indigenous as well, I find that like reconciliation can be seen in many different ways. There's many different acts. There's many different pathways you can go, but one of the ones that I've found the most impactful is sharing culture. We share and you share, right? Like it's a give and a take, and we both want to just embrace each other's cultures. That's all we want. And so I think that it could be also a step towards reconciliation.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, exactly. With food.
With food, exactly. If you ever want to bring cultures together, there are two things: music and food.
Exactly.
You know, that's kind of universal languages.
Yeah.
So let's kind of go into a couple of the specific programs that you're working on, because we had spoken before this, and one of the things that we had mentioned was that while you were following up on your predecessor's programs and making sure everything was still running, there are new things going on. So let's kind of talk about those a bit.
One of them is I got a grant from Healthy Together Now. It's, I think, around $4,100. And so we're going to run a monthly, it's called Dish and Dine. So it's a monthly food security initiative where we'll have a group of people, and we prioritize, for the participants, we'll prioritize people in the food bank first, and then we'll open it up to general public. And then we'll all get together. We make a recipe made with foods that you'll primarily find in the food bank and spice them up a little bit. So it's a new recipe. And then at the end of the program, we'll make, these are going to be like big batches of food. So at the end of the program, they can take it home in containers so that it also helps them with their food bill that month. It's small steps. We can't do a whole lot yet, but that is our way of making small steps in the form of a program. And then while also teaching long-term skills.
Right. Because we were talking about stuff you'd find in food banks. We're talking about food staples, really. Yeah. Like we're kind of talking about your pastas, your beans, your things like that, right?
Yeah, your rice. I went through, Amanda and I walked through the food bank. Okay. And actually found specifically what they get the most of. So like it'll be the porks and the, like, what do they specifically see all the time? That way it's accurate for our community.
That's, you know what, I was wondering about that, whether it was just kind of a generic, these are your staples, or this is what you find in Neepawa, which of course is pork.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
This is what you're getting.
Yeah. So just finding recipes with those things.
Yeah. So when is this beginning?
It starts, next month.
Next month? Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's the first Saturday or first Sunday.
And if it does open up to the public, then that information will be distributed by the town. People can find out what the availability is.
Exactly.
And hopefully that we here at the station can keep in touch with you and possibly build on this and maybe get some programs about recipes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to get it out to a broader community.
Yeah, and hopefully that'll help other organizations chip in too, right? Like, we want this to be a long-term thing. It's hard with grants because they're such short-term. These are your dollar amounts. And then after the program, what becomes of it. But we do have things like in Neepawa, we have a lot of resources. We have Neepawa Eats Healthy.
Yeah.
So maybe we tie it into them if this goes really well and people feel they need it. Maybe we tie it in with them and then work with them on that. It's our way to find other organizations to help.
And I know Neepawa Eats Healthy also ties in the local grocery stores and things like that. So it's a big network. I mean, I think that's something that you and I also discussed was the sort of network of organizations in the community and the ways that you can partner and work with them, which I think is kind of what happened with this next one that we're going to talk about. Yeah. If you want to sort of give us some of the details on that.
Yeah, for sure. So for this one, we it's called Silver Club Initiative, and it's a senior initiative. So we got a grant from Age Friendly Manitoba. It's a $10,000 grant, and you have to collaborate with people in your community to get the grant. That being said, we collaborated with more than what we were required to because we just kept getting ideas and feedback, and so we included everyone. So it's us, Arts Forward, Handy Van, and Hand all together. We're making, we're doing grocery trips, which we're also looking, because we've gotten feedback already, to expand it so that it's not just grocery trips, that one day a month they can also get a free ride to Home Hardware or to the hairdressers, wherever they need to go. At the cost of Handy Van would be on us. So, or on Age Friendly Manitoba, whoever gave us the
program.
But so there's that for grocery trips. We have weekly or monthly activities. So some of those will include like a bus trip to Riding Mountain National Park or to McCreary Rodeo, or we'll do, I'm trying to think of an idea. We'll do like an RSP's will writing kind of course or like workshop. And you get a free Handy Van trip to those as well. And all of those activities have therapeutic recreation backgrounds. So they're all based on a certain goal. Yeah, so like one might be reminiscence therapy, and that's really helpful for memory and just bringing like the joy back, right? So we'll have like a share your recipes, and you bring your favorite recipes, you talk about it. Maybe it was for a specific event that you made this recipe and the kids loved it, who knows. So we do that, and then we also have social hours and dances. So the seniors will come. Last one was in December. Very well attended. I think we had around 50 seniors there.
Oh, really?
It was it was really good. And Hand mostly organizes that stuff because they're very good at it. They've got their networks. They've got it going. So, but we'll do a dinner, and then we say dance, but we'll also just have entertainment. And so people can sit there, tap their toes, hang out, because not everyone can dance,
or wants to dance.
Or wants. Some of us shouldn't be seen dancing. So, yeah, those are kind of the 3 things we do each month, and it'll go throughout the year. At the end of the year, we're hoping we'll get enough feedback and enough like visually seeing attendance to understand what they want and need to continue.
Fantastic. So is there like a singular fundamental goal of this program, or is it just a plethora of services to seniors?
There's no singular goal. I think it hits a lot of them. I think biggest for us would be connection and just helping people live their best lives. Like as soon as you become a senior, you go into your home and you're isolated, right? We want to make sure that that isn't happening to people. We want our community to feel like they have somewhere to go, feel valued, and have things to do, right? So it's kind of just touching on that. And that's why I did reach out to other organizations, and we're collaborating together to better understand what they want, right?
So this kind of covers the seniors end of the spectrum.
Yes.
What kind of services then do we have going on in the community towards the youth end?
Yeah, so that is somewhere I did not find a huge gap. I haven't found too many things yet. I know that I'll do day camp this year. We have our swimming lessons. I'm trying to think. babysitting course, first aids, anything to help them get a job. I'm kind of blanking. But I like, there are a lot of resources here. Arts Forward does a great job with a lot of their programming, and we would never want to step on what other people are doing because we don't need to fill that.
Right.
Yeah, there's gymnastics, you've got your hockey, you've got your skating club. I feel like library does a very, very good job at making sure that there's the board games and the
They've got
literature.
An extensive list of
they
activities.
Do. So. I just saw they came out with their January list, and it was really impressive.
Every week. There's,
yeah. So I feel like our community very well takes care of the youth.
Yeah. And that's something Neepawa, I won't say it's unique in this, but it's different from other communities in that the town doesn't run all the recreation facilities. A lot of them are independently run. So how does that sort of affect what you're doing and you're making of partnerships, I guess, as well?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I used to work in Minnedosa, and I used to run all the facilities, which made programming kind of easy because you'd be like, well, I have a facility for it. When now it's actually nice that we don't own all the facilities because I get to collaborate with other organizations and people in the community. So if I need a facility, I'll reach out to Arts Forward and talk about this program, and then they'll be like, oh, so-and-so would love to join this. And then, right, like it just, it makes it such a community project every time, which I really love.
I think in the last 2 years, the community has really community organizations have been reaching out to each other more to sort of build this network of people that you've already given me, like, I'll have a conversation after this about, like, you need to talk to this person about this project you're thinking about. So is that sort of that kind of networking, have you found that challenging at all? Have you found it making your job
I don't
easier,
find
different?
it challenging. I actually love it. I love receiving feedback and hearing what other people have to say. The more people that get involved, we've already, like, recreation helps people stay connected and build a community. I feel like even just organizing these events, we're building that sense of belonging by having so many people involved. So it's rewarding just to work with other people. I really enjoy it. I have not found it challenging. The community's been super, super inclusive and inviting and welcoming. So
And sort of the other significant population in the community then is our newcomer population. And how has there been a lot of collaboration there? Is there any gaps there that you're finding?
So I've been looking to collaborate a lot. This past Christmas event, we ran a Filipino bake sale, which was great. We loved working together. It was very successful for them. They saved money for Heritage Month. And I would love to start collaborating some more. But part of that is also making sure that in our parks we have the basketball courts for their leagues and making sure that they have what they need to be able to run their programming. It's not just me always running the programming. It's also me making sure that there's places to do that.
So do we have any facility gaps right now that you're sort of trying to address?
I think volleyball is one. We have a few courts, but I think that is something that I'm looking for grants to be able to make more. I did at Miles for Mental Health, they did their event, and I did kind of like a survey with kids as they came in, and at the table, they'd write down their favorite activity. Volleyball was number one.
Really?
Yeah. Volleyball, then basketball, then reading, and then you started getting into like video games, and then hockey and the other sports were kind of lower on the end. But yeah, that tells me that maybe we need to look more into volleyball.
Yeah, and that's actually something I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
Like we kind of focused, I mean, we have the hockey facility, although it is an aging facility. That's kind of an issue there. We have, we're building basketball facilities. I mean, I still think we probably don't have enough, but we might never have enough. But this is the first time we're talking about the volleyball aspect of it.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of shocked by those results. So it was nice to see and get that feedback for me to know that, like, maybe this is something we should start looking at.
Yeah. Because I think in a community like this, it can be a danger. We can make assumptions about what's needed without reaching out to the community and doing those kind of formal and informal surveys. We don't really know what people really want.
Yeah. So that was helpful.
Are there any other sort of gaps then in facilities, or?
I mean, it's always a dream, right? There's so much to it, but an indoor gymnasium, another one, right? Just because that's where our attraction is.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a youth center and everyone can just do a drop-in fee to go there.
Yeah.
I think that would be huge for our community based off of just talking, not a formal survey, but that's something that I think would be a dream.
And then as far as our outdoor spaces go, we have the flats.
Yeah.
Which is going well. And then we have, of course, Ribbon Park. A couple of years ago, there was sort of a recreation, it wasn't a recreation plan, but it was a plan for that area going forward, doing some changes.
Yeah.
I know some of them have gone forward. Do you know kind of where we're at in that plan, or if there's anything going forward this year or the next couple of years?
Yeah, so for the swimming pool, we put in the new slide, and that is slowly building towards our plan. So we're not just doing one big $1 million project. We're
it's incremental.
Yes, it's incremental. So there's that. This year I got a grant I shouldn't say I did, the town did. Got a grant to help fix some of the area for like around the swimming pool. So we'll be doing some renovations this upcoming year.
Okay.
And then I don't know what's coming in the next few years, but I do know that we're still looking at it. We're still working on it.
I know there's a lot of different parts, and they always said, this is not a 1-year plan or even a 5-year plan. We'll do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I know one of the ones was moving that parking lot. Do you know if that is sort of on the agenda or not at this point?
It is not in the next year or so.
Okay.
I can tell you that, but I do know it's still on our minds.
Okay. And I kind of want to, while we still have a bit of time, talk a bit about sort of the philosophy of recreation, to get deep with it. What really is the goal of recreation? What is the fundamental goal of your role?
Yeah. Okay. So fundamentally, right from the core, it's just getting people involved, community, like a community sense of belonging, giving people something else to do other than work. I strongly believe that people should have hobbies outside of their job. It gives them a sense of purpose outside. Your job isn't your identity.
Yeah.
You need to be able to do other things as well, and that's where you connect with yourself and with others. So it's really a sense of belonging and sense of purpose is what leisure does, and that's my goal, is to help provide enough of those opportunities for people and make sure that the community feels supported enough to continue giving those opportunities, that we can continue thriving as a community.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into that conversation that has been happening a lot, not just in the community, but in the world, about third spaces. And how, you have your home and you have your work, or you have your home and you have your school.
Yeah.
Where else do you go where you're not spending money?
Exactly.
Which is kind of an issue. And I think recreation plays this huge role in that.
Yeah. I honestly, making sure that there are resources that are affordable or just available for people. That's why I try and make sure my programming is funded, because I think I want to remove as many barriers as possible for people.
Yeah. Are there any other programs then that you could have inherited from your predecessor that are growing, or are sort of interesting, or anything happening with some of those?
Ooh. That's a good question.
And I don't know what you did inherit. Like, I know there was a lot going on, but I don't know what was wrapped up, what was new, what was kind of ongoing.
Yeah. So I know that, we're going to continue. I'm going to try to continue everything that she was doing before. I want to continue making sure that we're doing a Canada Day. And Winter Festival is huge for the community.
Yeah.
Continue that, grow that a little bit more. I think that we can get a little more community involvement with Winterfest. I really want to pull like, I'm just an example. They're not. It's not like they're not participating now. But Sunrise, for example, we can have them come out and maybe they can head the snowman competition,
Right?
Or I don't know, any organization in Neepawa can come and run an event, and I think that that's really important. That way, they feel pride in also having that event, right?
Right.
So, I mean, having the community help build up the event is huge to make sure that it's what it needs to be.
I know in the past, year over year, we've had a big Canada Day, and then the group that was doing it kind of wasn't, and then we had, and I think getting a consistent community involvement might be the key to kind of keeping that growing and building.
It's a big thing because people take pride in the event as well then, because then they're also going to show up because of that.
And that's a big opportunity for us between, I guess that's one of the big ones, the Winterfest, the Canada Day. Are there any other kind of big?
We do. What is it? There's another big one. Well, there's the Indigenous Culture Day. We help. We don't run it per se, but we definitely help with that. And there's another big event. I'm not sure.
But we'll find out when it happens. I know certainly throughout the summer months, there's always kind of lots of different things going on. Chamber of Commerce is doing their events. Town is doing
the Chamber
things.
Fair. We do, like, there will also be like a Spring Fever, which is the bike races at the back 40, right? If more people were to support that, maybe it would be a bigger event, which would be cool for the biking community. I would like to see more at like Park Lake. I love Park Lake, so I would love to see more things happen there. Like maybe we can continue just highlighting all of our areas in Neepawa.
Certainly one thing that's come up before is like having an outdoor performance space for theater and musicians.
That would be cool.
Just put some bug in the air there. So what are your sort of pie in the sky, if I had unlimited support, what would I like to do?
Oh man, I would do so much. So I'm very community based, as you could probably tell. So first I would probably ask the community what they want and need. And I think that means like asking every population. So whether that's newcomers, whether that's the seniors, whether that's the youth, it could be Touchwood. Everyone should have a say in it. And I think that the indoor gymnasium would be my big thing. I love the idea of having a basketball court and like a beach volleyball court indoors or a volleyball court indoors. I think that could be huge for the community.
A space not tied to the schools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, because it puts a lot of strain on them. They do have to have somebody at the facility all the time. So, and with the population of our schools, there's not a lot of availability for our programs as well, I would think. Yeah, exactly. They're busy. Well, I'm getting the signal that we're just about out of time. Okay. So any last thoughts that you have? No, all I have to say is that if you guys ever have feedback, if anyone has feedback or ideas, always bring them forward. There's no dumb ideas. Okay. Because if you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking it. How can people reach you? They can reach me just by coming to the town office throughout the hours of, I think, 9 to 4. Okay. Or you can email me at recreation@neepawa.ca or call me at 204-476, 476-7614. I should have known that one too. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for taking time of your day to join me today. I have learned quite a bit actually today. And thank all of you for joining us as well. We hope to see you again next time on Decision Makers.